Errol Spence Jr., Terence Bud Crawford, July 29th. It goes down, Las Vegas, Nevada, T-Mobile Arena. I'm breaking this one down. I did do's and don'ts. If you want to beat Terence Bud Crawford, do these things. If you want to get assuredly knocked out, avoid these things. I did that video. It's already up on the channel. Go check it out. In this video, I will break down Errol Spence Jr., do's and don'ts. If you want a chance to win, do these things. If you want to get brutalized and embarrassed and disfigured, don't do these things. This is your boy JG. This is the Punch Report. Let's go. Like I said before, y'all, welcome back to the channel. This is your boy JG. This is the Punch Report. Like, subscribe, hit that bell icon to be notified when all the videos drop. Let's just get into the content. No more wasting time. The do's and don'ts, Errol Spence Jr. You want to beat him? I got 2 tips for you. It does not mean you will win, but you drastically improve your chances, so to speak, if you can do these things consistently over the course of the entire bout. Number 1 is this: have some variety in your right hand. This is from operating in the orthodox position. We know that Terence Bud Crawford is legitimately ambidextrous. He can fight both orthodox and southpaw and have high measures of success. But one of the things that I have found when I look at the tape for Errol Spence Jr., especially when I put the clips in here in just a moment, Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, Yordenis Ugas, 3 of the better welterweights in the division, and 2 former champions, that being Yordenis Ugas and Sean Porter. By the time, Errol Spence fought him, they had success in the orthodox position, landing right hands on Errol Spence Jr. Let's take a look at the clips here. Danny Garcia first, then Sean Porter, then Yordenis Ugas. Each individual was able to capitalize on a mistake that Errol Spence makes on hand exchanges, leaving slight opportunities to catch him slipping, so to speak. Now, with that being said, Errol Spence has shown to be pretty durable. He has a pretty granite chin, and he's able to wear these shots well. And a lot of times, to get that right hand off, you end up having to pay for it with 2 or 3 shots to the body. Terence Bud Crawford is a different animal. I believe he operates with a level of smoothness that these fighters do not. If he chooses to be in that orthodox stance, there will be an opportunity there for him to land really effective, sharp right hands. And that being said, I think Danny Garcia hits harder than hits harder than Terence Bud Crawford. But what I would say about Bud Crawford is he's a much sharper, much more precise puncher. There's a much more deliberate nature on how he delivers the strike to its intended target. He can have a real opportunity to buzz Errol early and then pounce on him and possibly get him out of there. But if that doesn't happen, continue to look for the straight right hand on a mistake or the sweeping right hand at mid-distance to give yourself an opportunity to put meaningful shots on Errol Spence Jr. I do not think this fight is going to go the distance, but if it's a close competitive bout that does go the distance, those effective kind of eye-catching shots will be the ones that kind of set you apart in a close bout to figure out, who really had the most effective shots. It's a tall order to win a decision against Errol Spence Jr. because he has so much volume. But if you can land these types of shots, you give yourself a very real opportunity to get it done if it does go to the judges' scorecard. Moving on to the do number 2. The number 2 thing that you must absolutely do if you want to have any kind of opportunity to have a chance against Errol Spence Jr. This one's a no-brainer. It requires no clips, actually. You absolutely have to be in shape. You're talking about a guy who's going to throw somewhere in the neighborhood of 50, 60, 70 punches on a low end around an Errol Spence. I don't think the fact that he's facing a sharpshooter like Bud Crawford will deter him from deploying offense in that manner. I suspect there will be a filling out process where they both measure, they both jab, they both feint, they both figure out what the range is, what the actual speed is, what the reaction time is for each other, Errol and Bud Crawford. But if you are not in tip-top shape, the best shape of your life, you have to be in the best shape of your life. Errol will get you worn down by round 6. He will get stopped inside of 8. I do not suspect that will be an issue for Terence Bud Crawford, a guy who seemingly doesn't have bad habits. He is a gym rat. Go ahead and Google it. He in jeans sparring and lifting and deadlifting and squatting and flying from the Raptors and doing all sorts of crazy shit. Bud Crawford is a gamer. He comes in shape. He's deeply competitive. I do not think this will be an issue. But if you think for a second that You can go into the deep waters with Errol and you haven't put everything into the tank, you're probably just going to get beat the fuck up and stop brutally. That's a reality of the situation. You have to be in shape, tip-top shape, best shape. The type of camp you have to have, it has to take something out of you. Win, lose, or draw. If Terence Bud Crawford beats Errol Spence Jr., the camp that he put in to get that done will change him, or Errol Spence will change him. That's a reality. You can bet on that. You got to be in tip-top shape. People can say what they want to say about Errol Spence Jr., the previous drinking, the poor decision-making, fat camps, and things of that nature. All of that stuff has a level of relevance. However, he's never missed weight. He's always coming in crazy shape, and he's put on a ridiculous performance with a ton of volume that makes it difficult to combat him. Come in shape or get mopped up. Now, moving over to the don'ts. If you do these things, you're getting brutalized. It's a reality. Do not do the two things I'm going to tell you. Whether it's Terence Bud Crawford or another combatant, if you see this video, if you do these things, you're getting brutalized. Number one, don't utilize the high guard at all, or if you do, use it sparingly. These clips are going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. If you take a look at the clips here, you have Carlos Ocampo, you have Lamont Peterson, you have your Dennis Ugas, all getting brutalized, destroyed within the high guard. And the Carlos Ocampo video, or excuse me, the clip is going to play into the factor for the next one. But one of the things that's interesting about Errol Spence Jr. and the combatants and casual fans or deep fans, trainers that consume the sport of boxing, they always say, well, the next fighter's not going to just stand in front of Errol. No fighter, everyone knows what Errol wants to do. Everybody knows what Errol wants to do, and that's what makes him great. You know it's a really terrible idea to stand and trade with Errol Spence Jr. You're not winning that contest at all. You're going to get brutalized. Lamont Peterson, your Dennis Ugas, Ocampo, they felt good in the fire until it was a wrap, until it got too hot. Well, Lamont Peterson especially, I don't think he intended, because he has good mobility and athleticism. He can fight, and he has decent power. I don't think it was ever his intention to go in there and just stand and be in the high guard against a guy like Errol Spence Jr., but that's where you wind up. Now, your Dennis Ugas is a different deal. He's a high guard style fighter. He loves to shell in that high guard, try to read offense, and then defend appropriately, and then deploy offense. That's why when I broke this fight down initially, the very first breakdown video that I did of your Dennis Ugas and Errol Spence Jr., the title is Errol Spence Jr. Will Brutalize Your Dennis Ugas. It's the first breakdown video I did, because his style generally is high guard, read, react, counter. He's had a lot of success with it. Drop Ray Robinson, beat up Pacquiao. He did his thing. The high guard is a recipe for disaster against Errol Spence Jr. Even guys like Mikey Garcia, who really didn't go high guard a lot, he utilized footwork. He moved laterally. He tried to pivot. He tried to do those things. The pressure was still too much for him, but he made it the distance. He did not get stopped. And that's no fault of Errol Spence Jr. He had a record-setting night of throwing and landing punches that evening, brutalized Mikey Garcia in a way that really changed the trajectory of his career. High guard is going to get you beat up. Don't use it, don't use it, don't use it. Now I have a treat for you all. I showed you the clips of Errol Spence Jr. brutalizing people within the high guard. And one of the things I saw in my comment section last year when I first broke this fight down was this. Oh, Bud Crawford don't do that. He never uses high guard. He don't use high guard. Surprise, my friends. Kaviaskis, Sean Porter, and my man, I keep wanting to call him, and Jose Benavidez, all got to see versions of Terence Bud Crawford utilizing the high guard. And I want to provide context because I'm not lazy on my channel. Kaviaskis, Benavidez. Bud Crawford went high guard because he struggles to get his own offense. He knew that if he went high guard, shelled up, pressed forward, it would give him easier opportunity to get some of those combinations off, and that's exactly what he was able to do. Against Sean Porter, it was a different high guard. I think at one point in time, Bud Crawford was pretty much mocking Sean Porter utilizing the high guard, peeking at what similar to like Floyd Mayweather or Victor Ortiz, just kind of peeking at what he's doing, enjoying his time, smiling, playing little games, and then figuring out a way to get it done. My larger point is this: for the individuals who want, and the clips are right here, the clips are posted. I'll put them on a loop. For the individuals who say, "Well, but Crawford, he don't use a high guard." He's been put in positions after taking damage where he wants to get it back right away. Of utilizing a high guard, it's a recipe for disaster against Errol Spence Jr. Because if he doesn't knock you out or drop you or whatever, you take damage that empties the tank sooner than expected as you move into the later rounds, championship rounds. High guard is not your friend against Errol Spence Jr. Moving on to the last don't if you're going to fight Errol Spence Jr. Similar to Bud Crawford, and it's a bit obvious. If you go to the ropes, it's over. I'm not utilizing any clips from this particular fight, but the Mean Machine fight is a great example. Go look it up, the highlights, Errol Spence Jr. Mean Machine. If you go to the ropes and he's utilizing the high guard, you're getting punished badly and eventually getting stopped. Mean Machine makes a good case. Was I really hurt so badly? Maybe, maybe not. But you're getting punched on in a manner where you actually look like a heavy bag from LA Fitness. The referee has to stop it and break that fight up. Carlos Ocampo's a good one. People feel good about how he was showing up. That's a first-round stoppage for Errol, by the way. Undefeated at the time. Mandatory for Errol Spence Jr. Has since gone on to fight and look competitive against Sebastian Fundora, who got knocked out by, not Adams, but Mendoza. And then he has a fight coming up against Tim Tszyu. I expect that fight to be really great, really competitive. But in that bout, Ocampo's making a good account of himself, throwing and trading. He's going to the body. He's doing his thing. Errol Spence Jr. gets an exchange, shoves off, right, left to the body against the ropes, stops him. When you don't give yourself space to get away from the power, where you have to absorb the bulk of the shot, yeah, it's going to be problematic against a fighter like Errol Spence Jr. Stay off and stay away from the ropes. The example that I used before is Mikey Garcia. He did a good job of this. Now, the pressure was too much, the speed, the power was too much from Errol Spence Jr., and he still got brutalized. But if you want to give yourself an opportunity, stay off the ropes. I will put these clips in here. I think a good example of this is the Sean Porter fight, where he did a good job of stepping around, countering, ensuring that he really did as much dictating of the real estate as he could against Errol Spence Jr. Eventually gets dropped, loses the bout. Shout out to Sean Porter. I want to tell you guys one thing. The Errol Spence Jr. fight and Sean Porter fight, while it was competitive and compelling, was not as competitive as you guys, it wasn't as close, as you guys may think. Errol Spence kind of did what he wanted in that fight, bullied Sean Porter. Sean Porter's just not a punk. Showed up, landed big shots, and did his thing. Most significantly, Sean Porter did a great job, phenomenal job, avoiding languishing on the ropes, putting his back against the ropes unnecessarily. Pivot, stay as close to the center as possible. Give yourself an opportunity to stand and trade. If you go to the ropes against Errol Spence Jr., you are getting brutalized. Now, before I go, the one thing I want to debunk that, shout out to Oscar De La Hoya, and a lot of guys are saying this. Terence Bud Crawford does a lot of things exceptionally well. He's very versatile as a fighter. He has a style that looks pretty when he's like all the way in his game. He can do a multitude of different things. I can break that down, but I don't want this video to be an hour long. But too many of the pundits and individuals breaking this fight down want you to believe that Errol Spence Jr., he's a one-dimensional fighter. Come forward, steamroller, just trying to punch you up and brutalize you and then get you out of there. Errol Spence Jr. can box. I'm going to put these clips in here right now of the Danny Garcia fight, where he shows the ability to measure, feint, throw the jab moving forward, throw the jab moving back, fight from long distance, fight at mid-distance range, fight on the inside, be versatile, spin, get to angles, and show a variety of ways to deploy offense and create complexities for the mind of the individual in which he's, combating against. If you're a Terence Bud Crawford fan and you think that you're going to get a version of Errol Spence that just comes forward ready to get picked apart by Bud Crawford, no matter what happens in the fight, what I can guarantee you is this: that is not what you're going to get. It's not going to happen. The do's and the don'ts. So let's recap. Do: use variety in the right hand. Definitely be in shape. These are going to be key for having success against Errol Spence Jr. Everything you do, build off of that. Things to avoid. High guard's not your friend. Don't go to high guard. Don't do it. if you're Bud Crawford or a future opponent of Errol Spence Jr. and you find your back touching the ropes for any significant period of time, you're not going to win the fight. You're getting stopped. Let me know what you guys think of the breakdown. The next video coming for this particular fight will be essentially a combination piece where I get into the specifics of what each combatant does well and how they can combat those things. And we'll just continue to discuss it. This is your boy JG. This is the Punch Report. Please, like I said before, hit the bell icon, like the video so it can be shared, tell the algorithm you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel. We're going to get to 100K before this year's out. That I promise you. 100,000 subs. You guys are going to make this happen. This is your boy JG. We out.